Hello everyone, my name is Super123 and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to see if we can beat Pokemon Red with a team of only one Chansey. The first gen is pretty much the only generation where Chansey is somewhat viable, since its special attack and defense are put into one single stat. But that doesn't change the fact that its base attack and defense are terrible, and when I say terrible, its base attack and defense are 5, as in the single digit number 5. To make up for this, it does have ungodly HP with a base stat of 250 and a list of TMs to back up that insane special attack with the likes of Ice Beam, Psychic, Thunder, Solar Beam, and many other brilliant attacks. But starting the game with a moveset that consists of 2 really weak physical attacking moves, it's going to be a grind to even beat Brock. Plus its sprites in Gen 1 are terrifying.
Oh, I'm busy spoiling myself.
Here are the rules of the challenge. I can only use Chansey in battle. I can use other Pokemon for HMs, but they cannot be used in battle. No items in battle, only outside of battle. And no cheating, exploits, or glitches. And if you do go on to enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's get into the challenge. So I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer and picked Chansey. I replaced Bulbasaur so that the rival would have a Charizard. No other reason that I felt that it would be the hardest to beat Charizard. I named the Chansey Cloud, as I felt that was a fitting name for something that reminds me a lot of a Twinkie. I imagine if you cut a Chansey in half it would be filled with marshmallows. Here are our starting stats, so you can tell that this is going to be a run very heavily reliant on special attacks. And also looking at our moveset, I'm going to have to grind for that first gym for sure, seeing as all of the moves we learn are normal type. And because normal moves go off our attack stat, which is really low, it's going to be even harder than normal. I had to grind in the Viridian Forest until I felt I was a good enough level. I could only beat the junior trainer in Brock's gym at level 15, and even that was really close as I kept struggling against him. Our moveset and attack stats do not complement each other, and I just have to keep grinding. Well, while doing this grinding, I had an idea that I want to propose to all of you lovely viewers and subscribers, of which only 25% of you are subscribed, so please consider hitting that button and supporting the channel. But if I was to start a series on the channel, would that be something you're interested in? I was thinking either a normal Pokemon Shield playthrough, or a randomised Nuzlocke of a Gen 3 or 5 game. I will be doing all of these playthroughs eventually, but I want to see which one you guys want first. I want to produce more video content and I feel a playthrough will help my own productivity and give you all more stuff to watch. I've left a link to a straw poll in the description for you to vote on, and with that self-plug out of the way, here is the Brock's gym battle. So I was at level 20 for the battle with Brock, and there is not a whole lot of strategy going into this one. Just keep hitting until his Pokemon faint. Double Slap is the best move out of our two as it can hit multiple times, and since Chansey has a fairly good speed stat, it means it can get more critical hits in Gen 1 with Double Slap. It still does next to nothing in terms of damage, but it does build up eventually and the Geodude will eventually faint. The Onix is the same tactic, but is a lot scarier as it has the move Bide, which takes the amount of damage you do to the user and gives it back doubled. Luckily for us, Chansey is dealing very little damage to Onix and has such a high HP stat that it doesn't matter too much in the long run as we can outlive it. Eventually it does go down and we get the victory and the Boulder Badge. That was a tough battle, but it's going to get a fair bit easier now. As moving on to Mount Moon, this is where things pick up a bunch. We get the TM for Water Gun, which is a fairly weak water type move, but Chansey can learn it somehow, meaning that it can finally make use of that amazing special stat. And it feels really amazing blazing through all the rock trainers with a one-hit move. Normal types in Gen 1 can learn a whole host of moves you wouldn't expect them to have access to, and this is exactly what we need to get through this run. I also picked up the Helix fossil. I know if I didn't say which fossil I picked, you'd all ask. In fact, everyone ask anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Yes, I know I keep making this joke, but seriously, comment anything at all and it helps the channel out. Try it out! When I got to Cerulean City, I went for the rival battle first, since our best move, being a water type move, is not going to be good against the water type gym. I know, it's shocking. Pidgeotto got in some good damage with some quick attacks, but due to our ungodly HP, it took just a light tap. 2 water guns and a pound are enough to take it out, and Abra I just used pound on since it can't damage us and has a good special stat. 2 double slap streaks took down the Rattata, and a critical hit water gun was too much for the Charmander. That was an easy battle against the rival, and after training a bit on the route to Bill's house, it's time to try the Misty battle. I still don't have a standout move to use in this gym, but one regardless. I could have used the TM for Seismic Tossed, but decided against it. Since Chansey has a really good special, I was not very worried about this battle and just went into it using a few double slap streaks while Misty tried to beef up her team with random X defense. Starmie did take a little bit of time to take out, but only because I got bad double slap rolls, only hitting around 2 to 3 of the maximum 5 times. After the battle, Misty gives us the badge and the TM for Bubble Beam, which is a massive upgrade on Water Gun, but for whatever reason, I didn't teach it right away and kept Water Gun. I can't remember why, but I'm sure it was a stupid reason because Bubble Beam is the much better move. Past me, what are you doing? Getting aggressive to myself in the past aside, the rival battle in the SSN. I just kept pressing the A button to use Water Gun. It was a very effective strategy apart from when Kadabra comes out and tanks it with its own massive special stat, but since it has bad defense I just use Pound instead. Again, a very underwhelming rival battle, but now is when I decided to teach Bubble Beam. I'm not sure why this specifically was the opportune time, but at least I taught it eventually. Now it's time for Lieutenant Surge, and I'm not skipping him before Rock Tunnel this time like my last 2 challenges. And this is why I didn't skip Lieutenant Surge this time, as he was a pretty smooth sweep. Voltorb lived on a sliver from a Bubble Beam, but used its turn to get in at X speed and then use Screech. You didn't need to use the X speed, Voltorb is one of the fastest Pokemon in Gen 1. Pikachu fell to a single Bubble Beam and Raichu was a bit bulkier and got in minimal damage, but 3 Bubble Beams make it another gym battle victory. After the battle we get the TM for Thunderbolt, one of the best electric moves in the game, so of course I had to teach it right away. No dilly-dallying this time with teaching it, or else the dilly-dally ghost will come and punch me in the noggin. After going through Rock Tunnel and making it to Lavender Town, I thought, I haven't abused the rival enough in this challenge, and went to give him another beatdown just to show him who's boss. And with the power of Thunderbolt now on our side, the Pidgeotto is going to be a joke. The only real issue I have in this battle is the Execute, as I have nothing that is super effective against it yet. But Thunderbolt is still so strong it doesn't matter. And then I use Thunderbolt again to rip the Gyarados to shreds. Even the Kadabra was a one-shot. And his Charmeleon? Get out of here with that weak stuff. I'm the protagonist, learn your place. Okay, I'll stop bullying the rival for a bit and go to Celadon City. While I was here I went to the top of the department store, and gave this child some fresh water, and in return she gave me the power of frozen water, aka TM13 Ice Beam. Ice Beam is very similar to Thunderbolt in that it is one of the best moves of its type. It now gives us coverage against grass types so that the rival's Execute will no longer be an issue, even though it really wasn't anyway in that battle. It now gives us coverage against grass-type Pokemon, so Erika's gym and the rival's Execute are going to be pretty damn easy. I also gave my remaining drinks to the Saffron City guards, and I can get the best move in Gen 1 for free, the TM for Psychic. I taught Ice Beam and Psychic right away to Chansey, and look at that unstoppable moveset. This isn't coverage for days. This is coverage for a whole year. Now we have moves that will absolutely blow every boss out of the water. We start by taking down Giovanni, just letting him know who the real boss of this game is. It's me, in case you were wondering. After this we then go to the Celadon City gym and give Erika a piece of that ass-whooping pie Chansey is serving up. Since Victory Bell is pot poison, I try out our new psychic powers and oh my god, it is glorious. It doesn't quite take out Tangela as it is a pure grass type, but Erika's healing is in vain as it takes another psychic, and then out comes Vileplume. Wait, what Vileplume? All I see is another gym badge in my hands. And now for more shenanigans with Psychic as I get to the Koga gym battle in Fuchsia City. But before that I went to the Safari Zone to get the Surf HM, catching a Chansey in my first Pokeball on the way there. As if this run couldn't get any luckier. Koga time, aka press the A button on Psychic. It's a very difficult tactic, but I managed to master it. The only Pokemon that gave me trouble was the Weezing, as it survived a Psychic in red health, but it also missed Toxic, so then I hit it again and came out unscathed. I didn't even heal up before this battle, but what I did heal up for was Rival Fivel. I did my very epic Silph speedrunning tactic to get there very fast, got into the battle with the rival, and surprise, it wasn't that difficult. This battle had a pretty linear timeline, so I'll just word out what happens for you. Ice Beam the Pidgeot, Ice Beam the Execute, Thunderbolt the Gyarados, get hit by Alakazam using Psywave and then hit Thunderbolt, watch it survive on half health, have it recover, and eventually take it down after it uses Psywave again. Then Bubble Beam the Charizard, even though Thunderbolt may have been a bit stronger. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? We save Silphco by making Giovanni blast off again and then take on Sabrina. Can Gen 1 Chansey match up against Sabrina's Gen 1 Alakazam? Let's find out in what will probably be the hardest gym battle because of how the special stat works. I tested a Bubble Beam against the Kadabra and saw it did nothing as it hits us twice for some pretty good damage and confuses Chansey. We break through that confusion though to hit a critical hit Ice Beam, and next is Mr. Mime. Hitting ourselves and an attack from Mr. Mime doesn't even take us to half health as 2 Ice Beams are eventually enough. Venomoth poisoned us with Poison Powder, then I should have used Psychic on it for more damage, but it fell to 2 Ice Beams. And now it's for the showdown with the Alakazam. 2 special powerhouses, and it starts with a Psy-Wave as we go for Ice Beam. Both of us not doing too much, but the poison is on her side. She sets up a Reflect as I go for Psychic, hoping to lower Alakazam's special attack, which I luckily get. She goes for a Recover as Thunderbolt hits harder due to the lowered special. She uses one last weak Psy-Wave as a critical hit Thunderbolt, takes it out and gets the gym badge. This is the first time in a while I've had to actually focus on the gym battle and properly narrate it. Will the others be as difficult? Well, let's ask Blaine in a battle. So Bubble Beam is a 1-shot on Growlithe, it's a 1-shot on Ponyta, it's a 2-shot on Rapidash as it uses Tail Whip on us and hits a Stomp, which is pretty good damage, an Arcanine is his final Pokemon, and a Fire Blast, the strongest fire type move in the game, only does 40 damage. But it does get the burn on us though. Bubble Beam does around 2/3 damage as it uses a takedown to bring us to 90 HP, but another Bubble Beam does the job, and that's the first I've seen us in double-digit health in a long time. Giovanni's last battle is just as underwhelming as you think it is. Surely there are many other members of Team Rocket who would have put up more of a fight than this man. He did get in little bits of damage, but it's still a Bubble Beam sweep as most of his team is 4 times weak to water. And with that we got the final gym badge and take on the final rival battle before the Elite Four. And I don't think he is ready for the challenge yet. Pidgeot, Rhyhorn and Execute are a 1-shot with Ice Beam. Gyarados is a 1-hit with Thunderbolt due to being 4 times weak to Electric. I went for the special drop Psychic with Alakazam but failed, so I just used Thunderbolt as he kept healing in vain with Recover. And his starter, his main Pokemon, his head honcho, was a 2-hit KO with a bunch of bubbles. Imagine blowing bubbles at a dragon and it being defeated. After the rest of the game I'm feeling extremely confident. We've got coverage against basically every type the Elite Four can throw us, so I just jumped straight into it. Lorelei was going to be a bit challenging as her Pokemon also have pretty good special. Dugong was a 2-shot with Thunderbolt after getting in some good damage with Takedown. Cloyster however was a 1-shot with Slowbro going down in 2 Thunderbolts. Jinx was a bit awkward as I had no super effective moves for it, so I just used Bubble Beam. Its Double Slap could have hit us hard but only landed twice. I just kept switching between Bubble Beam and Thunderbolt as I didn't know which one was really better, but it was Thunderbolt that was the better one and took her down to her last Pokemon, Lapras. A critical hit Thunderbolt took it down to the red, but Lorelei uses a Super Potion right away. For some reason I used Psychic, probably to preserve PP, and Lapras hits a Hydro Pump for not too much damage. One more attack won us the battle and we can move on. Bruno is next, and due to our extremely low defense stat, his fighting types could actually be tough if they land a hit. Bubble Beam is obviously a 1-shot on Onix, and we actually outspeed his Hitmonchan and take it down with 1 Psychic. Hitmonlee outspeeds us and hits hard with a Mega Kick, but it can't stand up to a Psychic and is another 1-shot. I misclicked and used Psychic on Onix, but it didn't matter as it's finally time for his Machamp. For once I'm actually worried with Bruno as I didn't know if I could take Machamp down in 1 hit. My worries were correct as it lands in the red and has its special attack lowered. But Bruno uses an X-Defend. We use Bubble Beam and Bruno literally gives us the victory on a plate. His Machamp has the move Submission, which could easily be a knockout on Chansey at any level I'm pretty sure. So why didn't he use it? Agatha is basically a poison type trainer in Gen 1, so Psychic is the go-to strategy, but I only had 4 PP left on the move. Gengar hits a Confuse Ray first turn and then gets a Nightshade. Yep, Nightshade can hit normal types in Gen 1, because it's a broken glitchy mess. My Psychic isn't even enough as Gengar has really high special. I used Ice Beam since I'll need Psychic for later in the battle, leading Agatha to use 2 Super Potions on her Gengar before it's taken out. We've taken a lot of confusion damage and will need some swift KOs to win this battle for sure. Golbat used Confuse Ray and still got hit with a Thunderbolt, surviving in the red and being healed with another Super Potion. We keep getting bad luck with Confusion as she switches into Haunter, who hit with an Ice Beam. Then that Haunter uses Confuse Ray and she switches back into Golbat, who is taken out with Thunderbolt. Haunter comes back in again, misses Hypnosis and then goes down to a Psychic. Arbok then comes in, hits a critical hit Acid, and we've been beaten? Chansey fainted. Christ, I haven't seen this for a long time. Well, there was a lot of bad luck in that battle with confusion, so maybe next time we'll be better. All I have to do is get past Bruno and then I can give Agatha another try. His Hitmonlee hits us hard with a critical hit Mega Kick. Onyx is taken down with Bubble Beam and I just have to hit Psychic and we... Oh no, submission hits and I've lost to Bruno. Well, it's been a fun ride making these videos, but I'm now deleting the channel because I have lost to Bruno. Okay, of course I'm kidding, let's just fight Agatha again. Confuse Ray hits first turn and I'm fearing the worst again, but we hit 2 Psychics either side of a Nightshade and the first Gengar is down. Golbat was a one-shot with Psychic, as was a Haunted despite confusing us again. Arbok, the killer from last time, is back on the field, but Revenge is so sweet. With 1 Psychic we now have our last Gengar. It does hit us with a Nightshade and a Toxic, but can't handle 2 Psychics as we can now finally move on after getting Revenge. Ice Beam is essential for this land's battle as we start off with a Thunderbolt on Gyarados that is of course a one-hit KO. The rest of the battle plan is press the A button on Ice Beam. That works for 2 of the Dragonairs and the Aerodactyl, and now we just have to use it on Dragonite and we win, but it then hits a critical hit Hyper Beam, and with 5 base defense, there is a 0.000000001 chance we are surviving that. Okay, next try, and maybe a few more levels we can outspeed the Dragonite. Thunderbolt on Gyarados, 3 Ice Beams on Dragonair 1, Dragonair 2, and Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl did miss Supersonic, and it's finally time for Revenge on the Dragonite. Luckily we outspeed, and since Ice is 4 times super effective, it's a clear victory. Sometimes all you need is a bit of speed and a really high special attack. Speaking of stats, here's how we're looking going into the champion. Our speed is actually a lot better than I thought. I didn't know Chansey had good speed considering it's a big round ball of fluff and eggs with a scary sprite. Its HP and special are alright as well, I suppose. Alright, time for the final battle against the rival, and Pidgeot is out first and I go for an Ice Beam. It does hit a wing attack for 55 damage, but it is a simple knockout with the Ice Beam. Alakazam is out next, his very own special wall. It used Recover on its first turn for whatever reason, brilliant Gen 1 AI, as we go for Thunderbolt which does just under half health. Alakazam now uses Psychic and gets a critical hit for some really good damage. Another Thunderbolt does take it within range as it uses a weak Side Beam, and 1 more Thunderbolt is enough to take it out. That is the main threat out of the way, as the Rhyhorn is a one-shot with Bubble Beam and we hit level 70. Exeggutor is next and an Ice Beam takes it down below half health and we get the Freeze. And if you don't know, Freeze in Gen 1 is basically a death sentence, as you can't defrost unless you have a fire type move used on it. He then sends in Gyarados, which is no different to Lance's Gyarados, as it is just a Thunderbolt. And finally it's his starter, his Charizard. We're on half health and could still be defeated, and a critical hit Slash just proves this point. 1 last Thunderbolt takes it into red health, but it just isn't enough for the knockout, giving it 1 more chance to attack. Another Slash and this could be over. But he does the special attacking Fire Spin, which is a really weak move in general, and it even misses! We hit a Bubble Beam and have beaten Pokemon Red with a team of only 1 Chansey. Okay, now I'll address the elephant in the room. Gen 1 is the best generation of Chansey as its special attack and defense are bundled into 1. In further generations, its special attack is only base 35, so it will still be really weak, but not as bad as its attack. Maybe in the future I'll do a run with Chansey in this manner, which will be a whole lot harder. Maybe if I'm particularly insane, I'll use its pre-evolved form, Happiny, which has even worse stats and an even worse move pool. This wasn't my hardest challenges I've done by a long shot. The start of the game was quite difficult, and the bad luck we got at the end of the game was probably some of the most challenging parts. The middle of the game, where we got some of the strongest moves in the franchise, clearly sped it up. I didn't even need to utilise the badge boost glitch. My next challenge will be more of the word, an actual challenge, but as always I'm looking for suggestions in the comments and on Twitter at Super123. Remember to vote on the straw poll in the description to see which series I should start first. I hope you all have enjoyed. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.